kept calling it love when it looked like waiting, when it sounded like silence and felt like hesitating. I kept calling it love when I was the only one reaching, the only one softening, the only one staying and bleeding. I gave kind of names to hunger, to distance, to delay, turned neglect into nuance so I could survive another day. I renamed every wound to make it easier to keep, and call the ache devotion while it hollowed me deep. I kept calling it love until it hurt enough to name, until the tenderness went missing and all that stayed was pain. I kept calling it patience, calling silence just a phase, but pain gets harder to romanticize when it starts to have your face. And the hardest truth I ever learned was not that you could leave, it was how long I called it love when it was only teaching me grief. Called your distance timing, your coldness just a lot, your absence something temporary, your effort all you've got. I made poetry of patterns that should have made me run, turned confusion into comfort and still called you the one. Kept trying to be gentler, smaller, easier to hold, as if my pain was just the price of asking not to be alone. I was not hard to love, just easy to convince that less was still enough if I kept forgiving it. I kept calling it love until it hurt enough to name, until the tenderness went missing and all that stayed was pain. I kept calling it patience, calling silence just a phase, but pain gets harder to romanticize when it starts to have your face. And the hardest truth I ever learned was not that you could leave, it was how long I called it love when it was only teaching me grief. Love should not require translation, should not arrive in ration parts, should not make abandonment feel intimate enough to call it hard. And maybe what broke me open was not what you did not give, it was how long I let starvation masquerade as tenderness. I kept calling it love until I finally called it loss, called it what it was. I'd counted what it cost. I stopped calling pain romantic, stopped calling almost fate, and the strongest thing I've ever done was name the wound and walk away. I kept calling it love until I learned its real name. stood so near to love, I could almost feel it warm, close enough to touch my life, but never close enough to form. You gave me all the gestures, the language, not the weight. You knew exactly how to look like home without deciding to stay. I lived inside your almost like it had walls and light, built forever out of moments you only meant for nights. You were never really mine, just close enough to blur the line. You were never mine, just close enough to hurt, close enough to feel like love, close enough to make it worse, close enough to keep me hoping, far enough to never choose. And the cruelest kind of heartbreak is loving someone who only almost loved you too. You held me like a question, like something unresolved, wanted all my tenderness without the cost of being sure. I gave permanence to passing, turned your comfort into truth, made a home inside your presence while you kept one foot removed. You let me think in futures you only meant in parts, and I kept stitching permanence into your unfinished heart. You were never really mine. I just made closeness mean more time. You were never mine, just close enough to hurt, close enough to feel like love, close enough to make it worse, close enough to keep me hoping, far enough to never choose. And the cruelest kind of heartbreak is loving someone who only almost loved you too. There is a grief in almost having a loss without a thing to bury. No clean goodbye, no ruined ending, just empty hands still carrying. And maybe what still aches the most is not that you were unsure, it's how certain I became about something never yours. You were never mine, just close enough to break, close enough to build a future on promises you never made, close enough to keep me waiting, far enough to never lose. And the hardest thing I've had to learn is almost love still leaves a bruise. You were never mine, just close enough. You still wear the same face, still say my name the same, but something in the way you touch me doesn't feel like yesterday. You still sleep beside me, still breathe the midnight air. But I wake up next to someone who looks like you, not there. I keep reaching for the version that used to hold me close, but all I find is silence in the body I know most. And that's the kind of heartbreak no one tells you how to name, when the person that you love doesn't leave, just changes. I miss who you were more than I miss your touch, 'cause losing you was painful, but watching you change was worse. You're still here in front of me, but somehow out of view. And the hardest part of loving you is missing who you were. I still hear your old laugh and songs we used to know, but now your voice feels distant, like somewhere I can't go. You kiss me like a memory, like habit, not desire. And I keep standing in the ashes, trying to call it fire. I've memorized the leaving in every little shift, how someone can stay so close and still become a miss. And that's the kind of sadness that lingers in the room, when the one you love is breathing, but no longer loves like you. I miss who you were more than I miss your touch, 'cause losing you was painful, but watching you change was worse. You're still here in front of me, but somehow out of view. And the hardest part of loving you is missing who you are. How do I agree someone's still alive? How do I bury the love behind your eyes? You didn't leave me all at once, you just became someone new. And I kept loving who you were, long after losing you. I miss who you were more than I miss your kiss, 'cause nothing hurts like holding on to someone who still exists. You're still here in front of me, but not the way you were. And the hardest part of loving you is missing who you were. You're still here, but I miss who you You still sit across from me, still wear that same old smile, still ask me how my day has been, like Nothing's changed in a while, but something in your eyes went dark. Something in your hands let go. And I've been trying to find the place where I started losing home. We still move like lovers do, still share the same four walls, but love can die in quiet ways, without a sound at all. And no one tells you what it means to grieve someone still breathing. You're still here, still gone, still the reason I hold on, still the face I run to, still the ache I run from. You didn't leave, you changed, and somehow that hurt more, 'cause I still reach for who you were, standing at the same closed door. You're still here, still gone. You still know the way I think, still know what makes me break, but knowing me don't mean a thing when love is gone away. I hear your voice, I know your skin, I know the shape of your name, but every part that once felt warm now feels a little strange. And I've been loving shadows of someone I once knew, trying to make a memory outlive the truth of you. And no one warns your heart enough how love can fade while staying. You're still here, still gone, still the reason I hold on, still the face I run to, still the ache I run from. You didn't leave, you changed, and somehow that hurt more, 'cause I still reach for who you were, standing at the same closed door. You're still here, still gone. How do I miss someone in the room? How do I want what never fully moved? You stayed long enough to break me slow and left me with the love that looks like home. You're still here, still gone, still gone, still the reason I held on, still the reason I held on, still the face I dream of, still the one I lost. You didn't leave, you changed, and I still feel the storm, 'cause nothing hurts like loving someone who no longer loves you warm. You're still here, still gone, still beside me, still not mine. kept your side of the bed untouched, like love might find its way back home. Kept talking to the shape you left, like silence might return your tone. I wore your absence like a habit, learned to breathe around the ache, called it healing in the daylight, then unraveled when awake. I knew the ending long before I let myself admit it true. But hope is cruel in quiet hearts, it makes a fool of what we knew. I should have left when love went dim, but I kept lighting candles for what was already ending. I kept loving you past the end, past the silence, past the bend, past the night you stopped reaching back, past the slow and final crack. I kept loving what was gone, kept calling ashes fire, and the saddest thing I've ever done was make loss feel like desire. I kept loving you past the end. I memorized your leaving slowly, every colder kind of touch, how your voice could still say stay without ever meaning much. I kept translating distance into something I could say, turned your absence into patience, turned my grief into a weight. I was faithful to a version of us you'd already outgrown, still pouring into open hands that never planned to hold. You had already gone in ways I couldn't name, and I was still there, trying to love you into change. I kept loving you past the end, past the silence, past the bend, past the night you stopped reaching back, past the slow and final crack. I kept loving what was gone, kept calling ashes fire, and the saddest thing I've ever done was make loss feel like desire. I kept loving you past the end. There's a grief that has no funeral, no clean goodbye to mourn, just the quiet work of waking up and finding what's not there anymore. And maybe that's what broke me most, not that you left, but that I stayed long after love did. I kept loving you past the end, past what shattered, past pretend, past the place where we were done, past the death of what we'd been. I kept loving like it could undo all that time destroyed, and the hardest thing I've had to learn is love can stay when it's no longer returned. I kept loving you past the end, and that was how I finally let go. gave me just enough affection to make me question what I knew. A little warmth, a little distance, and I kept calling it the truth. You kissed me like you meant it, then left me cold for days. And I learned how to survive on your inconsistent ways. I built certainty from fragments, turned your silence into grace, made a home inside confusion, and called the ache a place. You gave me almost, and I gave it meaning. You gave me pieces, and I called it healing. I mistook your almost for love, your half for whole, your pause for trust. I took your maybe as a promise, and called your distance something honest. I made a future out of fragments, made devotion out of doubt, and the cruelest thing I've had to face is how long I called your almost love enough. You were careful with your effort, careful not to give too much, enough to keep me hoping, never enough to hold me up. I learned to read your silence like there was something hidden there. But empty is still empty, no matter how I dressed it in care. I kept waiting for consistency from someone built on change, kept asking certainty from hands that never came to stay. You gave me just enough to keep me from leaving, and I gave you all of me to keep from seeing. I mistook your almost for love, your half for whole, your pause for trust. I took your maybe as a promise, and called your distance something honest. I made a future out of fragments, made devotion out of doubt, and the cruelest thing I've had to face is how long I called your almost love enough. Love is not confusion, not a question left unread. It does not make you earn what should be given without threat. And maybe what still haunts me is not what you withheld, it's how beautifully I translated what was never there myself. I mistook your almost for love, but almost never stays. It keeps you warm enough to linger, then leaves you in the ache. I made a home in hesitation, called uncertainty my truth, and the hardest thing I've had to learn is almost love still breaks you. You gave me almost, and I called it love. I stayed gentle, that I never made you choose, that I loved you without pressure and gave you room to move. You liked that I was patient, that I made your distance kind, that I turned your absence into reasons, so you never had to try. I was easy to keep around, easy to call when you were lonely, easy to reach for in the dark, when being empty made you need me. You liked being loved more than you loved me, and I mistook being wanted for being seen. I was easier to keep than to love, easier to hold than to choose. You like the comfort of my heart, not the weight of telling truth. I was soft enough to stay, quiet enough to lose, and the hardest thing I've had to learn is you love being loved more than you loved me. You came to me for tenderness, for softness, for relief, for all the parts of love that heal, but not the parts that keep. You wanted all my understanding, none of my unmet needs. You wanted warmth without the work, and call that loving me. I gave you every careful part, you gave me what was left, and I kept calling it enough, because I feared what honesty meant. You loved what I provided, not the person I had been, and I kept confusing access for being led within. I was easier to keep than to love, easier to hold than to choose. You like the comfort of my heart, not the weight of telling truth. I was soft enough to stay, quiet enough to lose, and the hardest thing I've had to learn is you love being loved more than you love me. There is a loneliness in being useful, in being wanted, not adored, in being someone's place to land, but never someone worth the fall for. And maybe that's what broke me most, not that you could not love me whole, but that I stayed long enough to call surviving scraps a soul. I was easier to keep than to love, and now I know the difference too well. Love does not borrow warmth and leave you with yourself. I was soft enough to stay, but I am stronger now than bruised, and the hardest truth that set me free is you love being loved more than you love me. I was easy to keep, but never truly loved. I started fading quietly in ways you couldn't see. A softer voice, a smaller laugh, a quieter version of me. I learned the art of disappearing without ever walking out, standing right beside you while erasing every doubt. I stopped asking for your time, stopped saying when I hurt, turned every need into a maybe so I wouldn't make it worse. I thought if I took less space, you'd finally let me stay. I stayed until I disappeared, loved you till I wasn't here, lost myself in keeping you and called it something true. I gave up parts I can't replace just to keep you in my space, and the saddest thing I've ever done was stay until I was no one. I used to feel so much inside, now everything feels numb, like I traded all my colors just to match what you'd become. I told myself it's worth the pain, that love is sacrifice, but I was bleeding out in silence while you never thought twice. I became someone I don't know just to keep you close to me, and I hate the way I let it go so easily. I disappeared in loving you before you ever left me too. I stayed until I disappeared, loved you till I wasn't here, lost myself in keeping you and called it something true. I gave up parts I can't replace just to keep you in my space, and the saddest thing I've ever done was stay until I was no one. If I could go back, I'd choose me first before the love, before the hurt, before I made your world my own and left myself alone. I thought losing you was my fear, but losing me was always here. I stayed until I disappeared, but now I'm finally reappearing here, finding pieces of my soul you never cared to hold. I'm taking back what I became, learning how to say my name, and the strongest thing I've ever done is leave before I lose myself again. I stayed until I disappeared, now I'm learning how to exist again. You loved me when I asked for nothing, when I stayed quiet, stayed easy, when I bent around your distance I never asked what I was needing. You loved me in the in-between, in half-lit rooms, in borrowed time, in all the ways that cost you little, but took too much of mine. You loved me when I made it simple, when I carried all the weight, when loving me meant comfort, not accountability or change. You loved the parts of me that asked for almost nothing back, and called it love while leaving everything I lacked. You only loved me in convenient ways, when it was easy, when it asked for little, when it fit inside your day. You loved me soft enough to keep me, distant enough to leave, and the cruelest kind of almost love is love that only shows up when it's convenient to be seen. You called me too much the moment I needed something real, like love was only valid when it never asked you to feel. You praised my understanding while I starved inside your care, turned my patience into proof that I would always still be there. I made excuses for your limits, called your absence just your way, until I realized your version of love was only built to stay. When it was easy to, you didn't love me deeply. You loved me when it cost you least, and I mistook your comfort for the kind of love that keeps. You only loved me in convenient ways, when it was easy, when it asked for little, when it fit inside your day. You loved me soft enough to keep me, distant enough to leave, and the cruelest kind of almost love is love that only shows up when it's convenient to be seen. Love is not selective tenderness, not one with one foot out the door. It is not caring borrowed portions. It is not here until it asks for more. And maybe what still hurts the most is not that you couldn't stay, it's how long I called it love when it only came in convenient ways. You only loved me in convenient ways, and I kept calling crumbs devotion. But I know now, love does not ration itself to avoid emotion. You love me just enough to keep me, never enough to stay. And the strongest thing I've learned is this: love that arrives only when it's easy is not love anyway. You only love me when it was convenient. You love me best in smaller pieces, in and softened tones and quieter needs. When I asked for almost nothing, you gave me just enough to breathe. You liked me most when I was careful, when I folded every ache, when I smiled through what was missing and called the silence grace. I learned how not to need too loudly, how to disappear with poise, how to turn my hurt into manners, how to make my grief less noise. You loved me most when I took less room, when I asked for little and made your distance bloom. I was easier to love when I needed less, when I made no weight of my loneliness, when I kept my hurt behind my teeth and never asked you what I need. I was easier to hold in parts, in softened edges, smaller hearts. And the cruelest truth I came to know was you loved me best when I needed less of you to show. You praised me for my patience, for how little I required, called me easy, called me steady, while my inside slowly tired. I wore restraint like something holy, like hunger made me good, like asking less was proof of love, like silence meant understood. And every time I almost spoke, I watched your warmth recede. So I learned to make myself easier than honesty would need. I became convenient, softened down to fit, and called it being loved when really I was managed by it. I was easier to love when I needed less, when I made no weight of my loneliness, when I kept my hurt behind my teeth and never asked you what I need. I was easier to hold in parts, in softened edges, smaller hearts. And the cruelest truth I came to know was you loved me best when I needed less of you to show. Love should not reward your silence or make a virtue of your ache. It should not feel safer to go without than risk the room your truth might take. And maybe what still breaks me is how long I called it care, to be loved most gently, only when I needed less there. I was easier to love when I needed less, but that was never love at its best. If I had to starve to keep your peace, then what you gave was not relief. I will not make myself smaller to be easier to keep. And the truest thing I know now is real love does not ask you